Big one for you today, folks. Today we are talking about investing for people with more experience, aka older. Just kidding. I know the time just keeps marching on, doesn't it? I feel like I'm getting older too. But I know that when you read the data on how much money people have saved up for retirement, there's a lot of people out there that don't know where their retirement funds are going to come from, and I have some ideas for these people. We're going to dive deep into the numbers today, and we're going to go into some creative solutions for retirement for people over the age of 40. When I look at my demographics, I see a lot of my main demographic is people from 40 to 65. So I'm going to focus in for you folks who maybe haven't started. I do a lot of real estate investing videos, and they're geared towards new investors, but I feel like maybe they're not geared towards new real estate investors who maybe are in their 40s or 50s or even into your 60s. So that is the kind of the theme of what this is going to be about today. Let's just get into it right now.
Shut up and sit down.
Okay, I worked really hard on this video. I did a lot of research. I have all sorts of graphs. I have charts. I have bar graphs. I have pie graphs. I have graphs with squiggly lines. And I want to try to earn that like and earn your subscription to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet, if maybe you're new here. So I've got a graph for everybody. We've got lots of data and we're going to dig into it. So just keep in the back of your mind that if this is, you're being entertained, and I don't know if it's going to be too entertaining because there's a lot of numbers today, but hopefully I can earn a like from you and maybe a subscription if you're new to the channel. So I'll date myself a little bit here. I remember being a youngster, and we would, talk about if you won the lottery and you could just, if you won $1 million, you could just stick it in the bank in your savings account and earn 10% interest, and you could live off of the interest at $100,000 a year. And those 10% interest rates don't exist anymore, do they? Back in the day, it was savings and CDs. Those were sort of interchangeable. A lot of people put their money into CDs back in the 80s. And look, I'll start with my first chart. We'll put it right up here. Here's a look at what CD rates did from 1984 down to 2021. They just went into dismal territory, equal with savings rates. Savings accounts interest rates did the same thing. So as the rates for CDs plummeted, people started to look for new avenues to put their money into, and boom, that was sort of the birth of mutual funds. And this is where 401ks and mutual funds came from. So as people started putting money into their 401ks, well, let's just take a look. I'll pull up this graph and we'll see how much money people have invested into their 401k accounts. So if we look at the graph, we can see that people in their 40s have an average 401k balance of about 120k. If you go up to 50 to 60 years old, it goes up over 200, and then just a little bit more for 60 to 69, and then it starts to go up to 229, and then starts to dip back down after people get into their 70s. That's because they start using that money, and then those balances start to get eaten away and dwindle back down. So this is kind of, people always say you need $1 million to retire, and this shows that the average person only has like $250,000 in their 50s and 60s invested into their 401ks, and that's where most people in this age bracket have their money. Now we can break this out by income. We can compare what kind of income people have to see how that correlates to their retirement savings. So let's pull up this next graph. So you can see the people, as the income goes up, also the contributions go up. You started down here on the lower end with up to 30,000. They have a max contribution of 7.3 from, I'm sure a lot of these people are at 0. And then as you go up the scale, the number goes up. You have to get once you get over 120,000, that's where you see the number finally go over this 10%. And they tell you, if you look at anything about savings and retirement accounts, it always says start at 10% of your income that you're investing into your retirement account. And according to this graph, not very many people are hitting that mark. Okay, so I'm gonna throw up another graph here. This is so you can see where you stack up by age group. This shows what percentage of this age group has saved up this amount of dollars. So if you look on the left side, you can find your age. I'm between 40 and 49. So you can see that people in their 40s have 41% of them have $55,000 or less saved up for retirement. And you can see for people in their 60s, the numbers slide down. You have a few more people in the over 1 million category and a few more people in the 500,000 category. So obviously people are getting a little bit more as time goes on, but this shows how many people, like if you go just from these less than 1 million numbers, or you look at just the over 1 million, the 12% is the highest number. So that means 90% of people have less than $1 million saved up for retirement, of that magic $1 million goal that everybody thinks. I think it's way higher than $1 million, but this just shows that 90% of the people don't even make it to that $1 million mark. Are you still with me? Lots of charts and graphs. I told you we were diving in deep today. I hope you're still with me. I hope you're still awake. I still got more good stuff coming. I told you guys I worked hard on this. I put a lot of effort in. Don't forget, I'm trying to earn those likes and those subscribes. So if you haven't done it yet, if you're finding any value yet, do it. But if not, stay with me. I got more good stuff coming for you. So a lot of people, they depend on what's coming from Social Security for their retirement. And that's why I think people don't think they need to hit that $1 million mark, because they're going to have all this Social Security money coming in after 67. I always tell people, don't count on Social Security, and make sure you can afford to retire without any Social Security income, and Social Security should be your bonus. But I think a lot of people do it the opposite. They count on Social Security, and whatever they could save is their bonus. So let's take a look and see what the average Social Security payment looks like. All right, you can see in this graph that retired workers, so let's just assume that we had a situation where one person in a marriage worked and the other person stayed home and took care of the kids, or didn't work, or whatever. So the retired worker is going to make an average of $1,400, and the spouse of the retiree is going to get paid about $739. Now, granted, these are averages. That's what we're working off of. We're advocating for the average American here today. So if we add those up, that's what, about $2,100. So that's about $25,000 a year you would get paid in retirement. So if you're planning on living off of your Social Security and you're an average American, you better figure out how to live on 25 grand a year. If your house is paid off and you got zero mortgage expense, could be possible. But as health deteriorates, as you have more doctor bills, or if you want to do any traveling to go see the grandkids because maybe they moved to Omaha and you live in El Paso, you're going to have to throw some plane tickets and things in there if you ever want to see the grandbabies, because they ain't coming to see you because they got soccer practice and stuff. So living off 25K is going to be difficult in your golden years. Okay, so if we go back to these graphs, there's another one that shows retirement savings by age. So let's go skip all the way down to the end here. At 65 years old, the average person has $209,000 in their account. So you're making 25K from your Social Security, and you've got 200,000 bucks saved up in your retirement account. That's what the average person has. And I got this last one here with the retirement savings. I got this from the Vanguard website. So this is what Vanguard found from their research. So this doesn't sound like a very good way to spend your golden years. $25,000 to live off of. That's your food, that's your transportation, your gas, your living expenses, your health insurance. If you're paying, I guess you're on Medicaid or Medicare, hopefully by this point. But I know my parents still spend quite a few dollars just on pills and doctor's appointments and things, even with all of the Medicare supplemental A's and B's. And it's way over my head because I don't understand it yet. But I know that my parents couldn't live on 25 grand if they needed to. So what options do people have at this stage of their life? Let's say you're 55 years old and if we look at this chart again, if you're at 55 years old, you may only have $180,000 or $160,000. What are your options at this point to try to get this income up in your retirement years? Well, if you've been to my channel before, you know what I'm going to say. Let's buy some real estate, because I think that's the best way to get some cash flow coming in. You don't need to build wealth in your 50s. You need to think about cash flow. So let's use this example. Let's take this person with 200,000 bucks in their retirement savings account, or 401k, or mutual funds, or whatever it's going to be. I pulled up a map of the good old US of A, and I just put my cursor on it to pick a town, a random average USA town, and I got Rapid City, South Dakota. Would not be my first choice for this exercise, but I wanted to make it random, and that's what I got, so I'm going to go with it. After I got to Rapid City, South Dakota, I pulled up the old realtor.com, and I just clicked on multifamily to look for what multifamilies were available in Rapid City. Almost all of them were under contract, by the way. The real estate market in Rapid City looks to be hot, 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 like everywhere else in the nation. So this is what I found when I scrolled down a little bit. I found a $250,000 two-unit property. It's got a 2-bedroom, 1-bath unit, and a 1-bedroom, 1-bath unit in there, and it's $215,000. Let's assume, based on seeing almost every single property contingent and under contract, that you, my friend, are going to be making at least a full price offer. So we're going to work off of that number for our numbers here. So I went to the old mortgage calculator and I typed in a 20% down payment, and it had a default rate in there of 3.02%. We're going to put 20% down, which is $43,000. Bing, bang, boom. It also had a default homeowner's insurance of $66 a month and property taxes at $142 a month. Might be a little bit low, but in South Dakota, I would assume the rates are going to be way lower than somewhere like Florida or in the Caribbean where I live, where you have hurricane insurance. So we're going to go with these numbers. That gives you a mortgage payment of $935. All right, next I went on to the old Zillow to look for rental properties, and there's almost zero rental properties in Rapid City available. Even in the 2-bedroom, 1-bath and the 1-bedroom, 1-bath, which you would think would be the largest market segment of rentals, almost nothing there. I'm going to say for the 2-bedroom, 1-bath, maybe you're going to get $1,000 a month because the rental market looks really tight there. And for the 1-bedroom, 1-bath, let's say you're going to get $800. I don't know if this is high, if it's low. These are the numbers I'm going with, so that makes them correct. If you're going to get $1,800 a month for rent, and then we back out the $935 for the mortgage payment, which includes your taxes and your insurance, you're going to make about $900 a month. So $900 a month is, let's just call it an extra $10,000 for your retirement in cash flow income coming in. And you say, okay, Mr. Smarty Pants, you had to take the money out of your retirement account. So the money you were making from your retirement account is now going to be less. You are correct. So I've calculated these numbers for you, young grasshopper. So if you had $200,000 and you're living on you're using the 4% rule with the $200K that you had in your 401k or whatever it is, 4% of $200,000 would be paying you $8,000 a year. So you'd have your $25K from your Social Security plus $8K from your $200,000 that you had saved up. So that's $32,000 you'd be living off of. That's, maybe doable. So let's look at what happens to the numbers so we can compare apples to apples. If we take $43,000 out of I just did the numbers at 200,000, not 209. So if we subtract $43,000 out of the 200,000, that gives us $157,000 left in your retirement account, and still using the 4% rule. Instead of making $8,000 a month in income, you'd be making $6,280. But we got to remember, we got the extra $10,000 from the real estate, from the duplex that we bought. So that gives you $16,280. So by taking that $40K out and buying a duplex with the mortgage on it, you went from $8,000 to $16,000. I doubled your income in retirement in your 60s without the blink of an eye. And you say,
oh my God, well, I don't want to be a landlord, Jeff. That's why I never bought real estate in the first place.
All right, fine. You can still hire a property manager and pay them 10% because this is long-term rental income. Most places, it's about 10% for a long-term property manager. So you go off of your gross, which you're $1,800, that's $21,000. Let's just call it $2,000 that you're going to deduct off of your 18. So now your 18 is making 16. Still way better than the 8. That's still double. And you don't have to do any of the work. If you're still spry in your whatever 65-year-old range, you could probably manage one or a duplex by yourself. It's not that much work. So you could get that extra $2,000. So this is an example. I know people are going to say, but
Jeff, what about vacancy rates and repairs and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I'm making a simple math problem here so that you can just start thinking. A lot of people just think that probably real estate is out of the question at the late stages of your life, and you don't want to get into the headaches and the problems and the this and the that. And here's a way to do it that's pretty simple and easy and to boost your income a pretty good amount, I think. And I'm going to give you one more example that's even a better example. Is a lot of people, when they get to this age, they're thinking about downsizing their home that they live in. My parents, for example, live in a 4,000 square foot house that's they bought. I didn't grow up in a 4,000 square foot house. I grew up in like a 2,000 square foot house with my brother and me and my mom, my dad. And after we all left and went to college, they built this big house. So they love it. They're going to probably stay there forever. But let's just assume they wanted to get out of their house. I went on the Zillow machine, and I know I'm a real estate agent. I'm not supposed to use the Zillow machine, but sometimes it's easy to just punch that in there in a neighborhood. So I know my parents have a mortgage on their house, but I don't know how much it is. Let's just say, for making the numbers easy, it's $200K. They have a house Zillow says is worth $700, so they're going to cash out $500,000. So with this example, my parents could go and buy a condo to live in for $250,000 using that $500 that they cashed out, and take the other $250 and buy a little house in Rapid City, South Dakota, like the one in our example. And if you paid cash for it, you could reduce that $935 a month expense. You would still have taxes and insurance. So let's say they bought a little something that was making $1,800 a month, like our example. That's about $21,000 in income. We'll back out $2,000, $3,000 for taxes and insurance. They could be making an extra $17,000, $18,000 a year. And their housing expense, when they got rid of their mortgage, obviously they got rid of their big house, but at some point it's going to be too much. So my point I just want to make is if you're looking to downsize your house, you may be able to pay cash for somewhere for you to live or even rent something. When you get older, maybe it's easier to just rent something and also buy an investment property without dipping in to that $209,000 that most average Americans had saved up. So that's another way to use the equity in your house to buy a rental property and get some extra income coming in. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. The reason though that I wanted to make this video is just when you look at these retirement numbers, my channel is called The Retirementality, and when you look at the retirement numbers for middle America or the average American or whatever you wanna call it, it just makes me freak out. Like, what are these people gonna do for retirement income? And I've always been an entrepreneur and I've always been self-employed, and I don't know if I'm going to make anything from Social Security, and I knew I needed to be self-reliant and not depend on the government or a pension or anybody. I know people's pensions are disappearing. So maybe you're less than 40 and you snuck in here and watched this, or maybe you're in your early 40s. It's a great time to think about creating income for your retirement. That's why I've always thought that real estate was the way to do this. Just to give you can make $1,000 per property, whether it's a single family, a duplex, a triplex, whatever, and you buy 1 or 2 or 3 of these houses over the next 2 or 3 or 5 years, that could be an extra $30,000, $40,000 a year that you can use in your retirement. And rents pace really well with inflation, so they're going to keep going up. So I want to put this little bug in your ear. If you thought it was later in life and it was too late for you to buy real estate, or it was too difficult for you to buy real estate, maybe these numbers can help you see that it might be a good. This is not financial advice. This is just Jeff's opinion, and he is not a financial planner or advisor. This is just for fun, to give you an idea of different ways you could get more income in your retirement. So change your retirement mentality. So thank you for coming by. Hopefully I earned that like and maybe even a subscribe. And if so, by you rewarding me with that, I can continue to make this content for you. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.